Wheatley, and welcome to episode 211 of the Wheatley podcast. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you're doing so. Big thank you to Ciara O'Sullivan, came on last week. If you haven't listened to her, she's a drama therapist, does all sorts of creative arts therapy with children and with adults. But it's a beautiful thing because it's, especially with kids, they're aware of their mental health from such a young age, but also they're being creative and being shown how to be creative and to enjoy themselves and stuff. So check that out if you haven't done so. Very excited for today's guest, singer, songwriter, and a founding member of the Hothouse Flowers, Liam Maonlai. How are you doing, Liam?
I'm very good, Derek. Thank you for having me on the show.
I'm thrilled to have you on the show, Liam. It was one of those ones when I was writing the questions, and I was like, right, I have to keep this to a certain length of time, but I have so many questions, so we'll get into them and we'll see how we get
Yeah.
on. A couple of questions we always ask at the start, Liam. Could you give us a short history of your upbringing, please?
So I was born by the Dodder River, around Clonskeagh is where I was raised. We had the Dodder running around the back of our garden, and I that was in 1964. I was born. My mother came from Galway and met my father in Dublin. He came from Cork. I think he was very, very passionate about being a part of the birth of a free country, a liberated country, and also maybe being a part of fixing what needed to be fixed on that side of things. But the heart of what he gave to me was a sense of culture and people, a sense of people, and that he adored this country. He loved this country, and he loved the landscape of the country, but what he was really passionate about was the people and the indigenous culture, our native culture, the culture that came naturally to us from the beginning or from beginnings and was passed on and survived a very violent, manipulative occupation.
There's something deep then within you from that, with your, I suppose, with your Irishness. You went to an Irish speaking school, and you're very obviously in touch with Irish traditional music as well. Is that, a carry on from your dad?
I think that's what I was trying to say, that basically he planted that seed in me, and then in a way he left me at it, and that when you get into traditional music, you become your own teacher. You seek teachers, you seek guidance, you go and you look at the best, you listen to the best, but at a young age you become your own boss, and I think that is a great gift. I think that's what culture the world over gives to a person is the sense of the teacher is inside you. The teacher is within, I think.
Yeah. Sorry. There's another question we always ask, Liam, and it's it swaps around with different people, and different stories. But when did you first become aware of mental health?
Well, I mean, life is up and down, and you might get a shock as a kid, or you might be in trouble about something that doesn't make sense as a kid, and that messes with your head, and you're down. Maybe like I didn't get, if I didn't have my homework done, one of the teachers used to write a note that I'd have to go bring home and get signed, and my parents felt their obligation was to be angry at me for bringing that note home. So I wouldn't show them the note, and I'd try and sign it myself. And then if I was busted for that, I just felt like I was in deep, deep, deep trouble. And in a way, if I had no outlet in the adult world to go, I'm really upset about this. I'm really down about this. And so I was aware of mental health then. I didn't have a word for it.
Yeah.
I didn't know maybe that it could be isolated with isolated, and I still don't know whether it can be isolated with what is happening. And I suppose the eternal question is what is happening affecting your mental health, or is your mental health affecting what is happening? Or yeah, that,
Mm.
if how. And I suppose the teaching that I would be drawn to is the fact that we have, in this world, we put the cart before the horse, and we kind of do the doing and the having to get the feeling, instead of working on the feeling
Mhm.
to then do the doing and then have the having. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the fact, and that is a great discovery. And um it's very simple. It's not always very easy, especially when we've got a lot of habits, but it's actually very simple to go, wait a second, I just have to concentrate on feeling good. And that's just by be breathing, slowing down the breath and going, wait a second, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. My head
Mm.
is going crazy. Let's just slow down. The sun is shining on the side of my face. That feels nice. Wait, now I can feel good. And I learned, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I think we all know about mental health from a very early age, but we just thankfully there's a name for it now, and people can focus on it. But
Yeah.
again, things are easier said than done, and we all, people will always find ways of coping, and some of those ways are good, and some of those ways maybe not so good.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with a lot of people have that same answer of not having a name for a particular feeling in school in particular, and the kind of anxiety and stuff, and they don't know what it is and stuff. So
Yeah,
it's one of those kind of, but it's good obviously that it's becoming more talked about now, so we can label it as something, and like you said, there's a great idea of trying to be in the moment, because we all have this idea, this will be brilliant if we can do this, but
yeah,
it's not, it's obviously it's not easy. It takes some time to work on, but I do like that idea of breathing and being
yeah.
there.
Working on the feeling, working on the feeling first, and
Yeah,
then and then and then work on the external side of going somewhere, doing something, but getting something, having something, achieving something.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What was your first instrument as a youngster?
The voice would have been
Yeah.
the first instrument, like, and and as much as my dad, he took the trouble to sit me down and give me songs,
Okay.
um, as I was learning to speak. So I didn't, I didn't have a, I didn't call them songs, and they were in Irish, and I didn't call it Irish. They were, and therefore I had no sense of I have to achieve this.
Hmm.
It was just we're just doing this.
When you start, because there's one thing I note from like knowing the back catalogue, say of the Hothouse Flowers and something, your piano playing is quite. I don't know if it's different, but it's kind of there's a certain style to it. I don't know if you would have a name for it.
No, I've no name for it. I mean, my style, my style comes from mother first, and so she was a woman who could play the piano, but she was also a very highly trained classical player, and her father also was that, and so those elements were very strong in the house.
Yeah.
And then I love jazz, I love improvisation, I love blues
Mm.
and modes. And somebody told me, whatever number of notes, they gave me a string of notes that basically were the blues.
And I just went mad on that. It just set me off on a whole world of discovery, you know, and I was playing slow airs on the piano as well. And that also is a modal. And modal means da 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 da. It's kind of like a string of notes that you can just throw yourself at and almost see the notes bouncing around. It allows for a certain amount of freedom, I think. And so there's the blues mode, there's other mode, Dorian mode, they've got different names for it. I'm not an expert on naming them, but like the trad music has a mode as well. And I used to get lost in improvising traditional melodies. So my style is about landscapes, moods, and then you see also sort of in my early teens, I just discovered that I could just get lost. Myself and the piano, I just could get lost, and I could go deep into a place of heightened sensitivity to every note, and I might just be pressing one note in a slow rhythm, and suddenly it expands, and you start hearing, oh, there's a frequency after the note. There's the sound of the hammer, you know, all the different things. And it's just from the art of listening. And there's nothing like bringing you into the present than playing music.
Yeah. I recently learned this fact, but in 1986, Rolling Stone called your band the greatest unsigned band in Europe, which is quite a claim at the time. How much of a deal was that towards you getting signed?
It was kind of absurd, you know, because, well, first of all, it never was about getting signed. Getting signed was a means to the end of making more music. But I was noticing that a lot of bands seem to be obsessed about getting signed and not obsessed about music. And I found that kind of disappointing. You know, it was like the human race was disappointing me, that the fun and the obsession with making great music was being overshadowed by the obsession with getting a deal. So I observed that, and well, you know, again, it's just what I saw. It was my perception. But I also sensed that a certain, you know, there's a ruthlessness. There are those who make the music, and then there are those who deal the music, who are in the job of making this music make money. And you forget that they're not in love necessarily with the music. They might be in love with something completely different. And that they might have to feel that they have to go to whatever lengths to keep a grip on these boys that they have legally managed to get a signature from them, so that they can make them work to make as much money as possible. And that's kind of how the business works. And, you know, some bands are luckier than others when it comes to surviving that. And I think we survived it. You mentioned about mental health and about me being exhausted. It was kind of like me just having enough of knowing that that somebody was taking the piss, and we weren't acknowledging it, and we weren't talking about it. It was like there was an elephant in the room, and I was tired of the smell. And I just said, we got to take a break. And I kind of called it as I needed to see 4 seasons in Ireland, which was true. I needed to get back home and just let the air through and stop thinking about songs and thinking about music and thinking about records and thinking about plans and thinking about gigs. Gigs are amazing. Records are amazing. Bands are amazing. It still is a wonder to me to be in a band. But life meanwhile is happening. And the beauty of a quiet morning where you don't know what you're going to do, or you're going to meet somebody for a coffee that you mightn't have seen for ages and talk about paint or babies or music or whatever. But to get away from we were in a bubble as well, and we weren't really even aware of what was happening on the radio very much, or what were the trends of music that were happening, which is okay. I think that's interesting not to be aware of that stuff. But all of that made me go, okay, we got to stop. We just have to stop. And my dad passed away, so that gave me an excuse to, it kind of gave me we have to let him do this because his old man has just died, so because it's a very hard thing to stop a machine that's putting food on everybody's table,
Of course.
as well.
It's when there's a concert from 1988. You're playing the RDS, and when you're looking at because people who haven't been in bands or haven't been signed and all that kind of stuff can look at things so much differently, and we're seeing this band at the top of their game and the energy is unbelievable and the songs are amazing and stuff. It's so easy for us to think, well, why would Liam want to, and like you explained there
Stop
to us, yeah, why would you want to stop it? And it's bizarre to us, but it's easy to say that when you're not in it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all look at the other person. We see the car going by and we think everyone's got it together.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the shopkeeper in the shop. Oh yeah, there's a shopkeeper. He's shopkeepers. Everything is perfect.
Yeah.
Or the priest or the guru or the teacher or the gym instructor or the doctor or the anybody. And everybody is figuring out how to be that person, how to wear that mask. And every now and again, you meet somebody who has discovered the beauty of just taking a step back.
Yeah.
And the persona is not necessarily what it needs to be. And music is great because you can actually maintain, when you love music, and it's a vibrational feeling. It's in your body. You feel it. You can't fool yourself, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure I can fool myself plenty, and I'm sure I do. But there's a lot going for it, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot going for it.
So I always hear about, say, Tom York has this thing about Creep as a song he didn't want to play for 20 years, and Kurt Cobain didn't want to play Smells Like Teen Spirit because it was, he felt it was overrated or whatever. Did you ever feel about Don't Go? Did you ever feel that as kind of something around your neck, or were you always just proud of the song?
Well, it was never overwhelming. The only thing was predictability. I didn't like the fact that we had to put it in the set list every night. But it wasn't about the song. I'll always love playing the song, and now I don't even think about that.
Yeah.
I'll sing it. We put it in the song pretty much every night now, and this time it's, for me, it is about because we love it, and people want to hear it, and I love that too. But I'd say every band kind of goes through that thought process, and they kind of buck at that a little bit. But no, it was never an overwhelming thing. I never lost sleep over it. I might throw my eyes up into the air going, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it, no problem. But I never hated doing any of the songs, really,
I understand that from the point of view as a fan though as well, because I mean, if I'm going to see, I want my And that's the thing, like I want my favorite song. That's not necessarily Don't Go, but it's hard for a band to leave out, I suppose, the bigger hits, maybe the singles,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah, yeah. And but I mean, I think I want to be a band that's so good that you don't care.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
go and see and you go, holy shit, what is happening? And actually, I think we do achieve that.
yeah,
I think a lot of the time, before we've come to Don't Go, we could actually just go, you know what? Let's just play for other man
mm,
once, and just, let's see how it ends. Because we don't write a set list, but there's a time at the gig where Fiachna starts playing Don't Go. And so we go with it.
yeah,
And Don't Go becomes the place where I introduce the band, and each member of the band then takes the band into some post-apocalyptic atmospherical journey, or
yeah,
whatever. And it's a great time. It's a great bit of crack. But yeah, that's what I think, and that's what I think a band should always be. And I think a good band is that,
yeah,
that what just going let's just blind us, and so it doesn't have to be about recreating the experience. It's about just having the experience, making the experience. And we have an improvisational nature with the song, with the
hmm
band. So all the songs, and because we don't write the set list, I might just sneak up on the song from another place altogether and might start singing the song in a different key. And I know the band can kick in because the key is different, but the intervals are the same.
hmm
So, you just adapt. And we've all been long enough on it. And there's a great kick it's out of the is great for music. I think it's great
yeah,
for singers as well, because when a band is on their toes because they don't know what they're doing next, there's an intention given to the singer. There's a certain clarity, and I think there's an energy there that's really beautiful to witness, and to be even more beautiful to be in the middle of.
for sure. I want to. So I have this kind of solo episodes every so often on the podcast, and sometimes I'll talk about music or films, whatever. And I had this one that I had in mind about the best opening tracks of albums, and I would definitely have Hard Stone City in it because I just think
Yeah,
I think of it in terms of, right. So like Zoo Station by U2 on Octon Baby is up there, but Hard Stone City as an opener is perfect. And what I like about it, because you've already talked about blues earlier on, um, it doesn't, and this sounds a bit silly, I suppose, but it doesn't sound like an Irish band.
Heartstone City.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, rock and roll is kind of an American child
yeah,
that is made up of Ireland, Africa, Sweden, England, Scotland, you know, uh, and the indigenous beats of America
yeah,
also. That's rock and roll, and the beautiful language of the South, of the African American South, the beautiful language that evolved from that absurd, terrible,
mhm,
terrible human history, um, became the language of jazz, and then the blues and rock and roll and all the rest. It was a kind of a draw.
mhm.
And so, yeah, Heartstone City, it's a muse thing in a way. You tap into something, and an accent helps you sing the song. An accent helps you write the song.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
But it contains this line. Okay, so I did one on my favorite lines in music, and this is one I forgot. But they say in Hardstone City, you got to carry a gun. Well, I ain't going to carry a shooter for no one. And it's still very relevant, even though Hardstone City is
yeah,
a city of make believe, but it's very much what, like you're saying, within the southern states, maybe of America, and the idea of carrying guns and stuff. It's still so. Yeah, it still means something.
the biggest is, and actually, and I keep saying this to people, if you have a bit of money and you're using your bank,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your money in your bank, and the bank manager says, okay, you've got this money here that keeps you going, how about putting the rest of it into a savings account? If you ask that bank manager if he can guarantee you that that money is not going into the making of weapons,
Mm-hmm.
he will say, no, I can't guarantee you that. No, because it is central to the economic world is money and guns. And if you actually take a cold look at Hollywood, you realize, I mean, every other film is an ad for a gun.
Yeah.
And maybe not a specific gun, but like a big shiny gun, big, just the sound, the bang, bang, the remote control killing. What on earth is that about? And I watched them, and I want to see the guy. I want to see the hero kill the guy. I'm invested.
Mm-hmm.
And if that isn't hypnosis, really, it's like, what? But I mean, human, yeah, we like. I remember a little scuffle breaking out down in West Kerry, and it was fantastic. All the local characters ran outside to see it happen. The old timers were the most excited, just to see a bit of a fight between two men. And so it's in our nature to have a scrap, and and it's almost, as somebody said in Connemara, it's a social activity.
Yeah.
Among men. But then once you take a weapon into the picture, you're changing the whole thing. And it's a cowardice.
Yeah.
Then actually, the guy with the gun is the coward. And it takes billions and billions of dollars of Hollywood and billions and billions of years of Hollywood to take away the cowardice from that. Because it's power as well. It's power. You walk in, you take a gun out, and suddenly it's down to you what happens next, in a way. So, all of that sort of stuff. I don't know how we got onto that. Oh yeah, Hearthstone City.
Yeah, it's Hearthstone City.
So yeah, I'm glad you picked out that line. I like that line myself. It's kind of, yeah, it's up there. It's yeah, fuck you. I'm not going to carry a gun. Yeah. I mean, it was so they talked to us, during our kind of genesis, and not our genesis. Our genesis was the Garden of Eden. Actually, it was beautiful. But during the sort of, okay, we're about to go on tour, we're about to release, we're about to do this, and somebody kind of said, oh yeah, we're going to have to talk about you guys having security. And I just said, no, sorry. I look after myself. Just illusion. I'm alive. Nobody's ever. I've been bored to death occasionally by people. I've been stalked. There have been things where we're going, oh, this is a little bit weird, and who knows what's around the corner. But at the same time, I have to trust my life, and I have to trust the energy I put out. But the idea, I mean, the Beatles invented, like, there was a few movies where they created that hysteria. Now, that hysteria was happening because suddenly there was a music that was opening something in people that was kind of dormant. And that's a pretty fantastic thing to observe. And what was that, But like being chased down the street and, being at risk, your life being at risk. Well, they did kill John Lennon, and who knows what that was about. But yeah, you've got to take it as it comes. Like my auntie went into the hospital the day before yesterday, and she's a good age, and it was just a colonoscopy. And I was going, why are they doing a colonoscopy? Are you having pain? I said, no, there's just a procedure. She said, but if there's anything there, she says, I want to accept it. I want to accept what's given to me. And I thought, you know what, Cal, I'm the same. It's I want to accept what's given to me in life, and to go into create an absurd, the other biggest industry is chemicals, drugs,
Yeah.
legal and illegal, and they're being sold and they're being prescribed, and it's upsetting to see it. People's balance is permanently offset by chemicals, and we're surprised.
Yeah.
We're surprised to see all that. Anyway, yeah.
All right. I wanted to ask actually, because this is kind of leading on from a psychology point of view. You mentioned John Lennon. I remember reading something he said about the psychological impact of going from being in a band, of having his group behind him, helping him with songs or whatever, to going solo. How was it going solo for you?
What was it like for me?
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can.
Going solo, it was beautiful because I am, when we started busking, I discovered I had a ferocious appetite for the unknown, and for for crazy shifts of gear, and with a band they need to be brave, and with the band I was in the days that we were what am I saying? There was a certain amount, we were playing set lists, therefore all the songs were being played without very much. Just when I do a solo gig, I have my own brushes, my own colors, my own canvas, and I can take, and I can do, I can do a 20-minute story introduction to a song if I want to, or I can just say nothing for the whole gig if I want to, and so that's glorious. I loved it. And you see, the thing is, I suppose my superheroes in music are the old timers that you hear at the end of the night, or strike up a song. But it could be anywhere where somebody sings a song beautifully, no accompaniment, and the whole room, no microphones, and the whole room goes silent, like pristine. So they're my superheroes.
And like, how do you feel about the role that, I guess, so when I found out you were coming on, when you accepted to come on, and I have some friends that I told, and they were very excited, and they loved you, and all of this positive thing. And how is that for you? Do you see yourself as kind of an elder statesman of the Irish music scene now?
Well, I mean, I'm getting on, so yeah, I am a musician. I'm one of those I looked up to, and there's a lot to be said for that, for having put in the time,
Yeah. And I also think, though, sorry, Liam, but when there's something to be said and a question to be asked, I don't. You mentioned kind of earlier on your fondness maybe for the limelight, or the machine that is the music industry mightn't be quite as up there with some people, but you are seen now as someone who's kind of a go-to when something happens, or someone wants to ask questions about music and of now or in the past and stuff. And I just think it's I think you hold a really great role.
It's really nice, and it's only it's only started happening in a way, to the level in which it's happening. It's like, those who passed away I got the call to make a comment, and I was I was very honored to be given that call and to be asked to make a statement. And I like to speak, and I like to speak. I like not knowing what I'm going to say. I don't plan what I say. I don't believe in it. I don't think we plan what we say when we meet our friends. So why should we plan what we say when we want to express something? I mean, do you not believe in what you're about to say, and believe in the infinite store of things that you might put words that you might put upon what you're feeling about somebody or something? So yeah, I love, I played last night in Eden Derry for a school, and actually played in Johnstown Bridge.
Right.
And I know music is music, and I remember being a kid, and I didn't care how old the musician was, but I mean, I was into rock and roll. I was into the young guys who were shaking their hips and making the girls go wild. But I was the old guys who were stopping, who were silencing the room with beauty.
Sorry, the sound went there for a second, Liam. Sorry.
Okay.
Can I ask you then? This is I know this is a kind of a mean and difficult question to answer, but do you have a favorite song?
Of ours?
No, just
Or
of
in
all
general?
time, all time.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't. But there's songs that sort of live with me. There's a song called I Am a Youth that's inclined to ramble. I don't even know it. I don't sing it. But the melody is extraordinary. Paul Brady was singing it back in the day when he had created this incredible version of Arthur McBride, and he was in. And that particular song, I think it comes from up around Fermanagh. I'm not entirely sure, but I think there was a great singer there, Geordie Hanna, who had a whole load of amazing melodies and amazing songs. That's one song. There's another song called Johnny Show Ya, which is a Shanno song that I do sing, which is a song in 3 verses, and it gives you a little eye into the feeling of desperation during the famine.
Oh.
And the melody again of that is just very, very beautiful and strong. And, we are privileged in this country that we wove these tapestries of extraordinary beauty realities.
For what it's worth, mine mine is A Day in the Life by the Beatles, because I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but I just think for a pop band to go from in 3-4 years to go from Love Me Do to something like A Day in the Life and its scope is it kind of blows my mind a little bit every time I hear it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and they made enough of a noise, and that they were the first to be that kind of a band, and they made enough of a noise and enough money and enough kudos, and they had enough good people around them that they were able to protect their relationship with the muse, and the muse will bring you to all kinds of music, and people who try too hard to control their bands, they get scared if they hear something they don't recognize. I mean, had the Beatles been in another time, it's a bit like people saying, had Jesus been born in a different time? Had the Beatles been around in a different time with the different set of business ideas or whatever, control systems, they mightn't have gotten as far as that,
Yeah. I think from speaking to you, but also from, reading about you and hearing about you before, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that you've got the kind of hippie mentality. Would that be right?
Yeah, the hippie movement was a return to something, I think. The
Mm,
hippie movement was a return to a sense of 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 relating with the earth, relating with the elements, not looking to the church, not looking to the doctors, not looking to the war machine for the answer, but looking to nature,
yeah.
which we are nature. I mean, and they were called hippies, and of course, PR will try and demonize anyone who might push society in a direction that threatens control of the masses. And the hippie movement actually offered, wait a second, be in control of yourself
Mm,
and be the and start with just like the Native American teaching is your your law, your God, your religion, your morality starts with you, and then it goes out to your family, and then it goes out to your community, and then it goes out to your tribe, and then it goes out to your nation, and then it goes out. But so all the wars, all that stuff has to be dealt with, and it goes back to feeling, to put your feeling first, to nourish. And so during like the times that we were being worked, um we were still living the dream on stage.
mhm.
We were gigging at night every night, and this was a victory in life, no doubt about it. But there were meetings where I was sitting there, and there was, 40 shades of bullshit being spoken and being swallowed, and it was making me feel sick. And then I suddenly thought, wait a second, I shouldn't be feeling sick about this. So I started quietly observing the sensations that were in my chest and my belly, that sinking feeling, and just recentering them, and actually finding an ability to flex my subtle self,
Yeah.
to actually to be able to manage my actual feeling, um regardless of what was being said or done. And that's something that wouldn't have happened had everything been rosy. So you kind of go, everything that comes into your life, you've got a choice to learn from it, gain from it, or be a victim of it. And I think there were times I was a moany old victim of it, but I learned to gain from it. And I'm very, very, very grateful for the story of my life, and the people who are part of that story.
There's something of my favorite song of yours is "Giving It All Away," and it reminds me of that idea
Okay.
of, like, if we want to talk about kind of the hippie mindset, or whatever that. And I know this can apply to anything, and I don't know what the song was about, obviously, but there's you were writing, but the idea that you could give it all away and still be happy, because there's something in the song's bounce that makes me kind of happy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could never figure out. Hold on a second, just putting
Yeah.
on my seatbelt. I could never figure out. I could never figure out what that song. I knew I was trying to. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Your visual's gone, but
Oh yeah.
I get you back. I'll fill in. I think Liam's, well, I won't say anything yet, but his phone might have gone off. But I'll carry on talking. So you should go if you don't know a lot of the Hothouse Flowers music. You should definitely go to YouTube and look up their 1988 gig that I was talking about earlier on, but from the RDS. So it's like a great tune after great tune after great tune. And what I loved about like seeing the difference of like Liam is obviously on the piano for most of the actual, songs, because he's a pianist, but also he's singing, so he has to stay in one place, and the other guys are bouncing around him. And I just love the dynamic of it. And they start with "Giving It All Away," which is my favorite, like I said, favorite Hothouse Flowers song. And obviously, "Don't Go" is in there, and Hearthstone City, and it's great set list, and it's about an hour long, and it's lovely. And I don't like when people talk about, oh, there's no look at it there. There's nobody holding camera phones up. I don't care about camera phones. If people want to go and enjoy gigs like that with camera phones, they can do that if they want. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. But there is something really there's an innocence to it in the audience, and it's a sunny day in September, and they're all bouncing around and loving life. And I think that is enough to kind of put a smile in your face. I'd say Liam's phone may have died, but if it has, it was great having him on. Obviously, I had a few more questions to ask him, like the usual, what you like to do in your spare time, all that kind of stuff. And who knows? I don't think he has much spare time because he seems to be gigging an awful lot. Like he said, he was playing last night, and I know he's got some more gigs lined up with the Hothouse Flowers, and he does his own solo stuff. And then if you follow him, you should go follow him on Instagram. As you can tell, he's pretty politically minded, but also very into world music, like I said. And you will see, clips of him performing with Irish musicians, and also, clips from around the world. So it's brilliant. But I'm delighted Liam could come on. Unfortunately, it was unfortunate about the abrupt ending, but that's one of those things about Zoom and podcasting in general that you can't predict. You can't predict it. But no, it was really genuine pleasure for me to talk to him because, like I said, Liam has been on a couple of things recently. Unfortunately, in the passing of Shane McGowan and the passing of Sinead O'Connor, he's been asked about it and stuff. And even what he said there, he was kind of surprised by it, which is kind of I suppose speaks for his character, really, that he wouldn't automatically assume that he was going to be called to action like Bono or someone, and I think with distance, people, bands like the Hothouse Flowers are appreciated more, I think, for their back catalogue, and obviously everybody knows "Don't Go." I think I was going to say it to Liam. I think I was 6 when that came out. I'm not sure, but we obviously all know "Don't Go." Uh, and it kind of brings you back to, not that it brings me back to when I was 6, but obviously I was hearing it still in the 90s. It's one of those ones that's an Irish classic that's always played. Um, but if you listen closely to it, well, what I find strange about "Don't Go" is like, I've always heard it on the radio and in passing and in shops and, things like that. But I've never, say not full blast on, watch out for your ears, don't play anything full blast. But I had it quite loud on my earphones. And the technical aspect of the actual band, like Liam's piano playing in it is so good. But all the band have their little bits that they're doing in the background. And I guess that was my starting point, and then I went to something like Hardstone City. There's a bass line in that follows the main melody of the song, and it's brilliant, and the whole thing is great. Actually, hold on. Liam might be back, lads. Liam might be back. I'm just gonna fill in till uh, we might have Liam back. He's in transit, so it's kind of difficult for. And also, uh, the whole Liam, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry, Derek. Yes, I moved a bit there, and sorry. So I'm back. I'm back stationary.
That's all right. I was waxing lyrical
Ah,
about your music, but no. What I wanted to ask was about the idea,
giving
and
it all away.
yeah, we were talking about giving it all away, and that being, the idea of the hippie.
Yeah,
Is
so
is that
I
right?
was, yeah. Well, so the thing about it, yeah, I was thinking this needs to be an environmental song,
Mm.
and so the idea of giving it all away was like giving, like pissing it all away,
Yeah.
But as you say, it has a no, it's saying something else, and I never figured out exactly what that song was trying to
Mm.
say. And I put in, the reference to the dolphins and people,
Mm.
and it's a song that was, these songs come and they go, here I am. What do you think of me? And I might need to write two or three more verses, but the song kind of presents itself, and we have to take it from there.
It's a very much an earworm. It's one of those because the chorus in itself is one of those all timers that just stays
Mm,
there for as long as you want it to be there. It'll be there, and I love that about like certain songs that, um, obviously that I love. That this will always be around. It's one of those choruses that will always be around my brain. The kind of melody of it.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you can't ask for more than that when it comes to music. So I wanted to ask you about because you mentioned the word muse, and when I was growing up, I always thought a muse was a someone like a boy or a girl, and the way you refer to it, it seems to be something else for you.
Yeah, I suppose it's just, I mean, most songwriters will tell you they don't write the songs. The
Mm,
songs just come, and I suppose to me that's the muse. It's like you find a vein, or you find a stream,
mm.
and you tap it, and it flows, and I suppose that's what the muse is to me, is a kind of, is something that triggers inspiration. I suppose it's like when you see something amazing and you just talk about it.
Mm.
That's art in its simplest form. You respond to something amazing by just by saying things. And with a song you say things, but you might just put a rhyme, you might just
Mm.
make sure that what you say rhymes every at the end of every sentence.
There's a flow, like, and I started writing songs again after a long time not doing it, in the
Yeah.
last couple of months, and I found, like you said, it's like that you tap at something in the street, and all of a sudden I was working on four songs, and to me that's like this hasn't happened since I was like 15 or something. It's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just comes, and it's when I was young, I thought I have to write about a girl that I'm in love with. It was never bigger than that. But now all of a sudden, obviously with life experience and stuff, it becomes a different experience altogether.
But what could be bigger
Mm,
than
true.
loving somebody? Really, what could be bigger than that?
Is hating someone or disliking someone a reason to write a song, do you think?
Well, they're usually very closely connected anyway.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hating, disliking, yeah, no, it's not the same. Love is
Mm,
different to hate. Hate is often just a glitch
mm,
in love, but the hate is something else. Yeah, hate is
yeah.
another story. And I don't know. Yeah.
Um, we always ask this at the end, Liam.
Yeah.
If you have spare time, what do you like to do with it?
Well, I like to get up when I wake up, instead
Mm,
of really wallowing in the beautiful comfort of the bed and the body warmth. I like to get out of that bed, because I know, but I don't know until I'm standing up, that all it takes is to be standing up for you to forget about that warmth and
yeah.
to move on into the day. And I love it. I got really into it when all work stopped, and the lockdown, and
Mhm.
um I got into the habit of waking up and getting up.
Yeah.
Going, okay, this, I woke up, my body wanted to wake up now. So I'm going to serve the fact that my body wanted to wake up now. And then I get out and I get the sun on my skin and I walk. And it's walking slowly, just meandering, walking and taking my kind of my head and letting the wind blow through it so that it's empty again, and allowing new inspiration to come in, just inspiration for life, not necessarily inspiration for anything else. And so that's one thing. And I like to draw.
Oh,
I like to capture a likeness in a face. I like to make form, and I like color, and so I love that. It's as old for me as making music.
Liam, it's been fantastic talking to you, and a privilege, I would say.
Well, Derek, thank you very much. As you can see, I'm not short of a few words, and you just have to ask one question, and I'll do the rest.
Which is perfect for me, obviously. But listen, Liam, could you hang on for 1 minute? I just want to end this, and we'll take a quick photo if that's all right, and we'll be on our way. Is that good?
Okay.
Brilliant.
That's good.
I want to say thanks very much to John for doing all the tech support as usual. I always thank my mum, my dad, granddad, Jordan, Calvin for the reasons I mentioned before. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, follow Liam on Instagram. We're on Facebook and X, and also on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Google Podcasts. For everyone who tuned in today, thank you so much. And Liam, once again, thanks a lot.
Sure. Thank you, Derek.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care.